Hi everyone, I am going to present about the discrimination, types of discrimination and impact of discrimination to the people with stigmatized diseases. Stigma is a mark of disgrace that sets a person apart. When a person is labeled by their illness, they are seen as part of a stereotyped group. Negative attitudes create prejudice, which leads to negative actions and discrimination. Discrimination is treatment or consideration of, or making a distinction in favor of or against, a person or thing based on the group, class, or category to which that person or thing is perceived to belong to rather than on individual merit. This includes treatment of an individual or group, based on their actual or perceived membership in a certain group or social category, in a way that is worse than the way people are usually treated. Basically, discrimination is an action which is an unfair treatment directed against someone. It can be based on many characteristics: age, disability, including physical, sensory and intellectual disability, work-related injury, medical conditions, and mental, psychological and learning disabilities, employment activity, gender identity, lawful sexual activity and sexual orientation, industrial activity, marital status, physical features, political belief or activity, pregnancy and breastfeeding, race, including color, nationality, ethnicity and ethnic origin, religious belief or activity, sex, expunged homosexual conviction, personal association with someone who has, or is assumed to have, one of these personal characteristics. There are different types of discrimination. Direct discrimination. Direct discrimination happens when someone is treated unfavorably because of a personal characteristic. Direct discrimination often happens because people make unfair assumptions about what people with certain personal characteristics can and cannot do. For example, George applies for a position with a construction company but doesn't get the job. When he calls the company's human resources manager to ask why he wasn't chosen, she tells George, "We've employed people from your country before. You lot don't share our work ethic." Indirect discrimination. Indirect discrimination occurs when an unreasonable requirement, condition or practice is imposed that disadvantages a person or group because of a personal characteristic. Discriminatory behaviors and actions that affect a person or group with certain personal characteristics can become entrenched in an organization or community. These behaviors often become part of organization's culture and are reinforced by policies or procedures. If an organization has a lot of complaints about the same or similar issues, it might be because of entrenched discrimination, also known as systemic discrimination. For example, a factory makes all employees start at 6 a.m. This might seem to treat everyone equally, but it could disadvantage employees who need to use the special bus because of his disability and that bus don't run at that time. Victimization. Victimization is subjecting, or threatening to subject, someone to something detrimental because they have asserted their rights under equal opportunity law, made a complaint, helped someone else to make a complaint, or refused to do something because it would be discrimination, sexual harassment or victimization. For example, Donna's boss fires her after she complains that a colleague is sexually harassing her. Discrimination based on all sorts of different social and economic grounds causes the marginalization of some from society and greatly restrict access to essential services due to the discrimination. People with mental health problems, disability, HIV or other chronic illness are unable to find work, unable to be in a steady, long-term relationship, can't live in decent housing, difficult to be socially included in mainstream society, limiting access employment, reducing self-esteem and dignity, lack of control and influence in how health and other services are designed and delivered. The abuse of human rights. This is because society in general has stereotyped views about these people. Many people believe that people with mental ill health are violent and dangerous, people with the HIV is very continuous, or they get their disease through the sexual intercourse, and which is not acceptable in the society. Discrimination can also worsen someone's mental health problems, for example mental, and delay or impede their getting help and treatment, and their recovery. Social isolation. Poor housing, unemployment and poverty are all linked to ill health. So stigma and discrimination can trap people in a cycle of illness. The discrimination against people with the stigmatized illness is one of the major obstacles to deal. In a number of countries, governments, non-governmental organizations, and health institutions have launched campaigns to reduce stigma related to illness. They display posters and distribute leaflets, as well as organize radio and television programs. Make the policy that introduce legislation that helps to reduce discrimination in the labor market, in housing, and in other walks of life. Implement policies that prohibit discrimination. For them, ensure every data regarding to the help is confidential. To facilitate a friendly built environment that caters to persons with disabilities, elderly. Make increased access to the health services for them.